Hi, I'm Joshua Kemble, and this is the vlog where I talk about my progress as a creative, working on my graphic novel, my second graphic novel, sequel to 2 stories, which is book 2. Book 1, which is out now, is from Marcosia Enterprises, that's my publisher, called 2 Stories. Book 1 is about my personal journey is struggling through suicidal ideation. It talks about navigating panic disorder with my then fiance, now wife, and how some childhood experiences, navigating playground politics, and being kind of a social outcast. All with the theme of discussing mental illness really openly, as well as the arc of why someone would be interested in faith, why somebody would lose faith, why they might gain it. Some pretty heavy topics. It's an independent comic that's a very personal story to me that I hand write, hand letter, and hand ink, and hand draw, and can now hand to you in print. So if you're curious about indie comics, especially auto-bio comics, and you're into comics that are more of a literary quality, then go check it out on Amazon.com. It seems like the rate kind of fluctuates, but you can pick it up now, and it's a pretty good time to kind of check on Amazon. Amazon Prime gives you free shipping, which is great on a book like that, especially a book like that with a UK publisher. Saves you a bunch of money on shipping. You can also get it at pretty much any online book retailer, and you can also request that your local comic shop order it, or your local independent bookstore. I am currently heading to work, where I work as a full-time art director, and that's where I do these vlogs, is on my way to work. So yeah, for the 3 people who watch these, I'm joking, I don't have a big follower count or anything like that, but for those of you who watch this is just kind of where I talk about my thoughts as an artist, and what I'm doing on a daily basis to carve out my comic book goals to get new awesome books created for you. So right now I've had to take a pause on working on book 2 in order to finish basically a little pitch that me and another writer are doing for my literary agent, and I'm coloring the 4th page, and so I was pretty actually happy with yesterday. We did Artcasters on Scott Cirkland's channel, which was great. That's a show I do every week with Scott Cirkland, where we interview creatives about the ins and outs of graphic design, illustration, cartooning, and get into some of the nitty gritty of what it takes to do this stuff for a living. And then it was a good episode. I feel like I made really good progress on my comic book pitch that I need to get out of the way so that I can get back to working on rough pencils for book 2. And that part, book 2, I'm about 107-ish pages into it. So yeah, so that's where we're at. But yeah, let's see here. So that's one thing that I'm kind of focused on. And right now I'm heading to work, and I'm just kind of thinking about the process. So what I usually do on these vlogs too is I'll talk about kind of my checklist for the day, because these also function as a way for me to keep myself accountable as a creative on my own personal comic projects. First off, I need to finish flats. So tonight I'm going to try to do all the flat colors because these page pitches are in color, so I need to finish all my flats. And then outside of that, like, I would like to get going on a freelance project. That's definitely something I have to do this weekend for a client that I really like. I don't do freelance as often as I used to. That used to be my bread and butter. It's what like my family kind of lived off of for a very long time. And now since I'm a full-time art director, I don't have to rely as much on freelance for my income. But I do have a couple clients that are great clients that I've had for years that will kind of hire me to do a thing here or there, and this is one of those great clients that I really value and I want to do good work for. So I need to knock that out as well, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to start that today. I definitely have to work on that tomorrow because tomorrow is Saturday. So it's a Friday. It's a pretty lovely day. I'm on my way to work, and it's a fairly smooth drive. But with the freeway that I travel on, I will probably be hitting traffic at some point. That's pretty insane. And I'm just thinking about like how fun last night was. We did a live stream on my channel as well after Artcasters, where we all hung out for about an hour. And I got to hang out with the Night Gang, which is like our nickname for like the people who show up on my weird, crazy late night streams. But it gets fun and kind of rowdy, and I actually enjoy more and more the live streaming format. And one of the things that I've started trying to do with this channel, with my YouTube videos and stuff like that, is just kind of forget about subscribers and growing and stuff like that, and just kind of have fun with it and make content that I want to make and hang out with people I like hanging out with. And with the live streams, rather than worry about like 50 people showing up or something, more just focus on the, like, if I get one person in my live stream, I try to make it as fun as possible for that person, to engage with them, to talk as much about art and interesting topics as I can. And what's neat is, by doing that, I don't have like the largest streams in the world, but I have like a small group of people who show up every time I live stream, and we get to hang out, and it kills two birds with one stone. It's a great thing. It's kind of like these vlogs where it's like, hey, I've got this commute anyway, and I need to be promoting my book, and I like making these videos, and I like making this content. It helps me as an artist. Hopefully it'll help some of you guys too, or keep you entertained, but maybe give you a little valuable insight or something to relate to, like on your artistic journey. And the live streams function in that way too, where they kill two birds with one stone, where it's like, I need to be working on comics anyway. If I live stream while I'm working on it, I can pull people in on the process, let them see under the hood of the car a little bit, and that might actually engage some new readers as well, and also hopefully like forge connections with my community and people who support what I do. So that's kind of why I like the live streams. I also like it because it's just like, it's kind of like a fun way to hang out with other people while you're working, which reminds me of art school quite a bit. There is something to be said for if you can make what you're doing fun in comics, that's the name of the game, because the process is very laborious and long. And so it's like, if you can make the process something you enjoy and still do the necessary work to make it good, that's something you should try to do. And like for me, I love the live streams because they help me gamify this long process of creating a graphic novel or creating pitch pages, where it's like, it doesn't quite feel as much like work when I'm getting to hang out with people as well. And it's a way to hang out with people who are up at weird hours when I'm up at weird hours. I heard on the live stream yesterday, one of the people, Mama Soto, who shows up on a lot of my live streams, said said we're like the weird artists that are up at like super late at night. Like that's kind of my crew on this channel. So anyhow, if you haven't yet, I just would encourage you guys, like, and this isn't, I know on YouTube videos you're supposed to do a call to action, like, you know, subscribe, hit the bell, and it can sound kind of generic. But in this case, like, if that's something you'd want to be a part of, make sure you're subscribed and you have hit that bell, so that you can get notified. And I think on the bell, it gives you options, but you can kind of dictate, like, how often you want to hear, like, a heads up if I'm about to go live, so you can join in on the live streams as well. Often I'll bring people from the chats in on the stream, because it's just, it's fun to have that dialogue and that conversation. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at on that. I think, like, I'm trying to think of, like, concerns I have. I will tell you, I probably sound like I have a cold or something. It's mainly because I get just terrible allergies around this time of year. And I've talked about these allergies a little bit on these vlogs, but the main reason I even mention it is because you're going to notice me, like, wipe my eyes or just, like, sniff and, like, act kind of weird. And, like, that's literally, like, it's just seasonal allergies that hit really bad this time of year. April is, like, just, you know, spring is ramping up, so you just have pollen everywhere. And I'm in a desert area, which is good, because actually it's not as, my allergies aren't as bad here as they were when I used to live in the Northwest. But just so you know, that's kind of that. But yeah, so I'm kind of thinking about things that I'd like to do this weekend. I also kind of think that what I would like to do is try to reach out to some comic shops locally. Maybe I'll start in my own town and see if I can kind of start scheduling maybe some signings, because I get my last Moderna shot. You know what, actually, I'm glad I'm saying this out loud, because I should wait till I've had my last Moderna shot, and then I can start booking signings or looking into conventions and appearances and live things to promote my book. And that's something I'm going to have to kind of look into and try to make happen, because it's been a rough year with the shutdown, like with in-person sales and stuff like that. But I do think it might be a valuable thing. And actually, I think after I get that shot, I might just put like a box of my books in my car and kind of bring them to different comic shops and see if I can slang some of these books like a crazy drug dealer. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So that's one thing I'm starting to think about as things ramp up. I do want to try the like one-on-one presence kind of approach to promoting my book. I also am like really aching to get back to working on book 2, because it's a long, crazy process, and I was making really good progress on it. But this pitch project is really important, so it's like, while I really want to get back to my comic, I also want to make sure I give the time and the energy and the effort to make this pitch project the best it can be. I do think this weekend, so I'm disregarding the physical in-person bookstore stuff, because I'd rather have my vaccine at like full protective mode before I start like having a lot of one-on-one interactions. And I know these things get booked like months in advance, but I just personally would feel a lot safer about trying to schedule or set up that kind of thing, you know, with having the vaccine. Like, that's, you know, yeah. Let's see. But, oh, yeah, so what I was going to say is I do need to submit to a couple award show type things. I'd like to do that. I noticed like one of them that I wanted to submit for, I think, is open for submissions now, and my book qualifies for it. And I definitely want to get in on that before, you know, it's too late to sub for it. I've only submitted for like 2 things so far, and whenever you submit to things like that, you do it with full expectation that they probably aren't going to get anything. But it's important to do because it's kind of opening up the opportunity or the possibility that it could happen. Everything up until you try is a closed possibility. But it's amazing what happens when you try. I think back to like when I first met my wife and we were really hanging out and enjoying each other's company. We were like classmates, and I asked her out on a date. And when I asked her out on a date, I was really clear about what I was asking for, and there was a high likelihood, because she was gorgeous. She is gorgeous, but and out of my league and a way better artist than me. And I had to take that risk and just kind of assume, like, there's a likelihood she'll say no, but it's a pretty much high guarantee she's going to say no if I don't ask. And so one of the best decisions, probably the best decision I ever made in my life, was through just taking a risk with odds being pretty likely that I'm going to get a no, and I got a yes, and the rest is history. Like, she's my wife, and one of the most important things in my life. From that decision to just kind of like, you know what, I want to put myself in a position where if yes is said, I can have that possibility, because that's a future I would like. And I think life reinforces that for me all the time, that you kind of have to try. So that's how I view like awards and things like that. It's like, while it's unlikely, it's also worth opening the possibility. And at least by hearing no, you know that you opened the gates for the possibility of yes. And that's a huge one. So that being said, I am heading to work. I am pretty exhausted because it was a late night, but I'm also pretty optimistic. I got my new shoes, and I'm feeling pretty good about those. I got Onitsuka Tigers, which are pretty cool. I'd show them off, but I'm driving in a car, so I can't really pull my feet up. But yeah, they're pretty cool, and Bruce Lee used to wear them, so if Bruce Lee wore them, I think that's appropriate. And also at my age, it's nice to have a little insole support. But it was overdue, and those came in. My feet are feeling cozy. But other than that, like, I just am trying to think of and prioritize like what I need to get done. And I think that submitting to those shows, generating, like doing a live stream or two would be good. It might be fun to track some music. I would like to try to kind of keep that ball rolling. Maybe like try writing another song. So far I have 3 out of 10 that I need done in order to have an album. I feel like to have a decent album, you need at least 10 songs. That's not a hard and fast rule. It's just my own little personal goal with those. Yeah, just make more progress on the pitch pages. I feel like there was something else I should do other than submitting for 2 stories, because here's the truth about releasing a comic or a book is, like, especially when it's with an indie publisher, I think even sometimes when you're with a huge publisher, you have to like hustle and like sling your book. Like, you have to sell your book and try to move it. And if it's a product you believe in, you really need to try. Which is why I'm really excited about getting that second vaccine, because I would like to really push that book, like really push it one-on-one in stores, be a pain in the ass. Like, that's kind of what you have to do. And there's a hard line between that and being like a carnival barker, because, you know, you can't force people to buy your book. And if people feel forced, they're going to be a lot less interested in kind of picking up or reading, especially taking a chance on something like an auto bio, you know, of an unknown, which is basically what I am. So yeah, so that's going on. Let me have some coffee real quick. But yeah, I'm really hoping that was what I was gonna say. I would like to also possibly pitch the graphic novel I did, but for 2 stories. I might start first with Marcosia and see if it's something they'd be interested in putting out, because that will fill the gap between book 1 and book 2. Like, at least it'll keep a book coming out. Like, I'd like to know that I'd like to start keeping and possibly generating buzz for my books. I'm wondering if now is the time, or I'm kind of thinking last time when I did submissions, I think it was around May, and so it might not be a bad idea to like maybe hit that up around May. It's an idea I might float to my lit agent and just see if it's something she thinks is worth pursuing, or seeing if anybody has interest, and we can kind of go from there. So yeah, that is something I would like. I still do need to do a cover for it though, so that might be something worth considering. But let's see. Thinking out loud here. Yeah, I think that's about it, honestly. So my goal today is for what I need to get done today, I really do think just focusing on getting those panels, like getting that page finished, so I just have one left of the pitch for tonight, would be really good. It's just laying out flats. It shouldn't be impossible. My goal for my work day is just to like do the best I can and make awesome art for my employer and our clients, our various clients. Yeah, and that's hopefully be able to do like book time with Ben, hang out, maybe get in a little fantasy battle, and because that's half your job as a dad, is like battling. So there's that. And I think like just for a topic, gamify your art. Like, find ways that you can do a win-win, where it's like you're able to get art produced but also promote your art at the same time. Like, if you can find windows to do that, where you're able to make your own art and promote it, it will go well with you, I think. And those are things that are sustainable, because I think sometimes if you're more focused on promotion than your actual book, your art's gonna suffer. And so it's like, the way I look at it, it's almost like in sales, there's 2 different modes of selling from what I understand. It's been a long time since I've had to work sales, although honestly, when you're an artist, you're always working sales because you have to sell yourself, especially a commercial artist. But no, you know what, forget that qualification. When you're an artist, you have to sell yourself. Like, if you're a fine artist, you still have to sell yourself to galleries, to potential clients. They're just wealthier clients, and usually a more elite type. But whatever you're doing, you're working sales. You're developing a persona. Like, for me, I'm really bad at like kayfabe, I guess that's what people call it, when you're kind of putting on an act, or like creating a mystique or a character of yourself. I'm bad at that. So like, my mystique and my kayfabe is just literally like like unfettered honesty and like a seeming lack of self-awareness about things, where I can do like a live stream and just kind of ramble. And I'm growing more and more comfortable with just, hey, be myself, be authentic. That's kind of my kayfabe. That's what I have to do. Yeah, so I don't even remember where I was going with that tangent. But my point is, if you focus too much on the sales or on the promotion part, like, you can kind of end up in like a hard sales conundrum where like high pressure sales, and you'll notice industries that employ high pressure sales tactics. Car salesman is a really good example, although I think good car salesmen even use soft sells, because your profit potential is a lot higher with soft sells. But generally there's a difference between like a hard and a soft sell, and like a high pressure salesman, you see this a lot in car dealerships. They just want the one sale. Like, they aren't thinking about a long-term relationship with that customer. They aren't thinking about return buys. They might be thinking about that, but they're not going to have as much success with it, because the downside of hard sells, where it's like, hey, you need to buy this now. You have about 5 minutes to make this decision or not. And if you don't make this decision, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life because it's a great deal. Like, that kind of thing is high pressure sales, and it doesn't work great, because it doesn't work out for long-term sales, because you're getting the win on the short term, but you're not really doing the work to develop a relationship and make sure you have a happy client. And happy clients come back. Clients who feel like they're respected, that you help them make their vision come to life, you provided them a service that they value, like, that's long-term sales. And for me in like comics, that's a huge thing, where it's like, I want to make sure I write as good of a book to where, I may not be like pressuring hardcore for somebody to pick up that book, but if they pick up that book, they're going to want another book, because I took the time to craft it, to make sure it's well written, to make sure it's interesting, to make sure it's trying to touch on really important topics. So I'm hoping that even if I sell a book to a friend, like, I want that to be an authentically good book, so my friend doesn't feel like, gosh, I got to buy another crappy book from my buddy. Like, I want to make it a good experience for the customer, whoever that customer is, because to me, that's a long-term relationship. And when I put out book 2, I'm going to, hopefully, even if I sell 10 copies, at least those 10 people are going to be eager to read the next book. And I think that's a good tactic. Like, personally, I think that's the ethical way to do sales. And I think that in scenarios like that, what you want to do is, at least for me, this is my own theory on it, but I think, like, if you focus on the quality of the product as well as the sales, like, you want to focus on quality, you want to focus on doing a great job, like as good of a job as you can to serve your customer. And in this case, it's like, my readers are my customer. I want to make sure that my product is absolutely fantastic. I want to make sure that the book I'm writing is awesome, is authentic, that the art is good, that I'm doing interesting things with paneling that will hopefully engage and interest the reader and keep them reading. Because if I don't have that, like, and I'm carnival barking and trying to push my sales and trying to get people, hey, pay attention to me, pay attention to my comic, like, I can't expect anything but a hard sell result unless I'm offering an actual quality book and a quality product. So that's something I think about when it comes to like marketing and promotion. If I focus not at all on marketing and promotion or sales, then it doesn't matter how good my product is or my quality is, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm going to have as good of quality of products as I make. Like, you can't polish a turd, and hard sales are going to basically more or less, like, they might lead to like one sale, but if your book isn't good, you're getting a mercy buy, and that doesn't tend to work out well for returns. So that's why, like, when I'm focusing on making art, I don't want to lose track or let the quality suffer but I also don't want to lose track of marketing or sales, or like creating content like this that like hopefully offers value or interest for free, you know, in the hopes that like people will take a risk on that new product, and then because I've made it good, they'll return. So that was like a long, rambly, winded way of saying like I'm always looking for ways to generate content that can push and market my book that won't in turn pull away from my time to make sure that what I'm making is worth it for the reader as well as for myself. Like, I don't want to sell a bad book or a bad story to anyone either. So, you know, because once again, I believe in the idea of like relationships in sales and stuff like that. So yeah, so that's just a little bit of thought on why I sell, why I do this thing. I just said blah because I'm heading to work and I'm thinking out loud. And that's a lot of these vlogs are thinking out loud. So yeah, so we'll see. I hope I have a successful day at work and I'm able to kind of get home and accomplish my goals. Again, I had a really late night, so maybe I'll be able to have like this my little Overton window where I can nap. But other than that, like, yeah, I'm curious. What do you guys? What's your strategy with like marketing and sales versus quality of your product? How do you guys navigate that? You don't want to obviously spend a lot of time marketing to the point where you're not making quality products. So how do you navigate that? How do you kind of navigate the ever-changing landscape with that? What's your theory on sales? When it comes to your own work, are you like a hard seller or a soft seller? And then also, like, what do you think is most effective for like pushing your own personal books? I'm curious. Also, I hope you guys are having a good, productive day, and I'll see you on the next Vloggins, or maybe after work. We'll just kind of have to see. So that's that.